How many of you are familiar with the myth of Sisyphus? What most people are familiar with is Sisyphus as punishment, wherein this guy is rolling a boulder up a hill in hell, or in Hades, or Tartarus, depending on the reading. In hell, this guy named Sisyphus is rolling a boulder up a hill, and once it gets to the top, the boulder slowly pivots and begins rolling down the hill again. And this is their punishment. Their punishment ends when they're able to keep the boulder on top of the hill, and it will never end, because circles on slopes tend to roll down. The original myth of Sisyphus, if I recall correctly, is where a Grecian king, in an attempt to dodge death, to cheat death, captures the Grim Reaper of Greek mythology, Thanatos, into a chest, locking it tight. And when Thanatos eventually gets freed, either through divine intervention or through the wit of other peers, Sisyphus is sentenced to do something as futile as cheating death, constantly rolling that boulder up the hill and letting it roll and having to go back at it. Now, the myth of Sisyphus has been used several times with several different interpretations nowadays. One of the more popular libertarian ones is that Sisyphus must love rolling that boulder up a hill, must love the labor and effort. In of itself, the punishment is the reward, because effort is a virtue in and of itself. As far as interpretations go, I give it a 6 out of 10. I think there's something to that grind set mindset that I kind of find it a little bit appealing. You're not going to get anywhere sitting on your butt. You're going to get yourself 2 places exerting effort, but at the same time, you can exert effort doing completely useless things. And when I say useless, not even a use for yourself. So I'm not sure if hard work is its own reward all the time. It's definitely nice to get paid, or to get rewarded, or to get recognized. I think more often, the most common interpretation of Sisyphus is that, again, the initial plot, the initial storyline, wherein you cannot escape death, you cannot cheat death. There are some things in life that are immutable, that are impossible to defeat. And arguing against that, there was this one great dragon parable told by C.G.P. Gray a couple of years back. It is a really, really interesting take, wherein humans sort of just allow themselves to be eaten by this dragon because it's been a thing as long as they've known. It's existed as long as they've known. And just because something exists long and it's terrible doesn't mean there should not be resistance. There should not be a fight. There should not be... even if we are meant to sort of bow our head to this universal constant, we are a very crafty race. And we have it in us to defeat this giant dragon that's just massacring people. And you learn later on that the dragon is an allegory for death. And the heroes cure death eventually. Which makes Sisyphus a hero in a kind of way. There's this interpretation wherein, when transposed, when we compare these two myths, we see that spunky humanity can absolutely fight back. And it's pretty nice. That's pretty cool. Another interpretation of Sisyphus is the Sisyphusian punishment is one wherein there is no end. And it is often the same actions again, day in and day out, futilely attempting to make a difference where there is none. It's insanity. It's meant to drive one insane. And I think a lot of people are able to map the myth of Sisyphus with their own daily lives. If you suffer with anxiety or depression or some other mental illness, it can feel Sisyphusian to have to present, work, and push yourself every day to just exist as a human where everyone around you seems to be doing it effortlessly. Or if you're trudging away at work, you might map Sisyphus' struggle to how you've been in the same position at a job for maybe 3 months, 3 years, 3 decades. It is a soul-crushing grind. Or perhaps, if you were a content creator, doing the same stuff, or even variants of the same stuff, trying to get seen by other people, and always watching as that roll up the hill is eventually hit with a plateau and then a drop. In all these cases, we're meant to empathize with Sisyphus and their struggle. It hits us close to home because we are used to doing things that, at least seemingly, don't have any end point. This is why Sisyphus must love their boulder, or must befriend their boulder thing, is resonant with so many people. I am a curator of hope. I do enjoy and love hope, and I don't think Sisyphus is enjoying pushing it up. But I do think Sisyphus believes that at some point the boulder is going to stop. At some point the boulder is going to stay up there. And even if it is an impossibility, I like to think that that individual belief is virtuous. Now, I'm not saying sunk cost fallacy, just push yourself into any situation where things are not working out, and maybe one day they will. But what I'm saying is that, what worse punishment can you put on Sisyphus at that rate? Doing the same monotonous thing again and again ad infinitum. How could the lashes be worse? How could having your limbs pulled be worse? How could all sorts of other tortures be worse than this life of solitude and pushing? Clearly, and I don't think Sisyphus is a masochist, but clearly Sisyphus is building towards something. This is the Celerity dust interpretation. Sisyphus must be building towards something if they are going at it so doggedly. And sure, it's a... What do you call that? What do you call that fallacy? Where conclusion leads to premise and backwards thinking and all that stuff. But I don't know, I like that version more. I could somehow cope with being Sisyphus if I do believe there's something at the end. Pardon me for my saccharine nature. And pardon that nothing was really discussed today. Ding ding, 10 minutes.